gonna talk about the dark tourism today, and I have tried giving you as much as possible information. However, I have divided this topic into three parts. So we're gonna discuss the two parts. One is the introduction to the dark tourism, and other is the second part we'll discuss a bit later once we'll finish the first part. So let's now discuss about the dark tourism. A dark tourism is also known as the black tourism. Then a tourism or grief tourism is a tourism that is associated with death or tragedy. The act of dark tourism is somewhat controversial, with some viewing it as an act of respect and others as unethical practice. Popular dark tourism attraction includes Schwarzwald, Trobley, and Ground Zero. Lesser known dark tourism attraction might include cemeteries, zombie themed events, or historical. The dark tourism started to gain academic attention in the early 90s, but it is only recently that it has sparked the interest of the media and the general public. An early definition defined by John Lennon and Malcolm Foley defined dark tourism as the representation of inhuman acts and how these are interpreted for visitors. In a more recent publication, Kevin Fox Gotham defines dark tourism as the circulation of people to places characterized by distress, atrocity, or sadness, and pain. As a more specific component of dark tourism, disaster tourism denotes situations where the tourism product is generated within and from the aftermath of a major disaster or traumatic event. Dark tourism has become the subject of academic debate more and more in recent years, most notably for this critics and assessment of associated impacts. The dark tourism spectrum. The dark tourism encompasses many different dark activities. These can range from visiting an attraction such as the London Dungeons, where people are seen laughing and joking. Did you know it finishes with a height restricted ride that imitates people being hung? To tourists racing to the scenes of a disaster to provide help and relief. Naturally, these are very different ends of the dark tourism spectrum. To help us understand the dark tourism sector better, we can organize activities according to the dark tourism spectrum. As you can see on screen, we have a higher political influence and ideology. Then we have the darkest, we have the sites of death and suffering. Behind we on the below lines we have education orientation, history centric or conservation commemorative, perceived authentic and product interpretation, location authenticity, shorter time scale to the event, supply space, or also can be as a non-purposefulness, a lower tourism infrastructure. The lightest gives a height to the lower political influence and ideology has the sites associated, etc. One, on one end of the spectrum, the darkest end, we have extreme or serious dark tourism activities. These are activities which often involve an educational element, such as learning about a nuclear disaster or a shipwreck. Activities on this end of the scale are associated with an authentic experience whereby the tourist visits an actual historical site or speaks with people who were involved. Example might include visiting the Berlin Wall or Tulsong and the killing fields in Cambodia. On the other end of the spectrum, activities tend to be a more commercial nature. A Jack and Ripper themed funfair ride or a comical play based around the Black Plague are effectively romanticized versions of dark events or times in history. The intention is for the tourists to have fun and enjoy themselves rather than to be educated about the said historical references. Do you ever thought why this the dark tourism is so popular? For many, it is purely the possibility of being able to emotionally absorb oneself in a place of tragedy. It is important for people to engage and immerse themselves in past history and culture. By visiting dark tourism sites, we are able to give ourselves time to reflect on history. The dark tourism has close ties with educational tourism, particularly in cases of darker tourism. For many people, this is a dominant, if not their main, motivation for being a dark tourist. Whilst dark tourism may not be a happy leisure experience, many people enjoy the educational aspect that comes with it. I know that I have certainly enjoyed visiting famous cemeteries and learning more about the World War II during my travel to the Berlin and Poland. The visitors of dark tourism sites are of a wide socio-demographic group. Motivation stem from educational purposes, the desire to understand past affairs, etc. Whilst other motivation stem from the desire to experience something different or new. Thank you.